I'm currently a freshman in college, and I came home this past week for a funeral. But let me backtrack a bit. During my senior year in high school, I was in the library during study hall, working on some computer science assignments since my laptop at home didn't have JCreator installed. A boy from my class, Carlo, sat next to me because those were the only two computers with JCreator. He was a tall, very pale boy with long black hair that covered one of his eyes. He wore an anti-flag t-shirt, a ripped jean jacket, and Doc Martens. He never spoke to anyone in class, and I'd never seen him with anyone else. When I took a seat, he looked up at me like I had committed murder. I quickly looked away and started rummaging through my bag as a distraction. As my head was down, I heard him chuckle and mumble something. I froze, my head still down, and dismissed it as him talking to his computer since coding can be frustrating. I quickly typed in my login details and tried to break the awkwardness by saying, "She assigns too much homework. I can barely keep up." His eyes stayed locked on the computer screen, and he responded, "You want the answers, don't you?" I laughed and said, "No thanks, I won't learn anything that way." Normally, I would have said yes, but I didn't want to see his evil stare again. It felt like he was staring into my soul. He laughed again, and it was so creepy that I had to close my eyes and cringe. When I opened them, he was gone. The strange thing was, he left his flash drive. I waited about 10 minutes to see if he would come back, but he didn't. Study hall ended at 1 o'clock, and it was 12:50. I decided to take the flash drive and give it back to him the next day in computer science class. I threw it in a little box above my bed. I have to admit, it was an awesome flash drive, like a Swiss Army knife with a flash drive in the middle. Here's the crazy part. After that day, he never came to school again. He was notorious for being absent, so for the first month, no one batted an eye. However, as May rolled around and we were all getting ready to graduate, I had completely forgotten about the flash drive until 2 days ago when I came home. I needed one and remembered I still had his. I scanned it with my Norton antivirus, and it was all safe. I was planning to delete all his stuff so I could put my business class PowerPoint on it. Naturally, I started snooping through his files. The first thing I saw was a folder named Computer Science. I opened it, and all the answers to every assignment were there. I thought maybe that's why he left it, so I could copy off him, knowing he was never coming back. The second folder was music. I had to see what he listened to. Surprisingly, there were only 3 songs: Running on Empty by Jackson Browne, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, and Helter Skelter by the Beatles. The next folder was app literature. There were a bunch of essays and one document titled The Best Doc. It was a 10-page document of notebook pages filled entirely with his first and last name, handwritten. Then it got weird. He had taken pictures of the emergency escape plan posters on the doors in every classroom. There was a picture of a lit cigarette on the bathroom floor and another of some coins on the bathroom floor with a yellow post-it note saying "chump change" in all caps. The weirdest part was a picture of me reading a book in class. From the looks of it, it was my English class, which he was not in. There was also a document titled "Rest in Peace To," but it was empty when I opened it. I still have no idea if this was a joke or not. For all I know, he never showed up again because he realized he lost his flash drive. This story happened a few years back to me and my friend, Jenna. We were both 12 when the story occurred. Jenna and I have been friends since 2nd grade and usually spent all weekends and free time together. We've always been into paranormal and ghost stuff and believed every house we ever went into was haunted. We would go on ghost hunts like the TV shows with a flip phone to record the sounds. However, there will always be one night that stands out to me and still haunts me to this day. It was around midnight, and we were hyper and awake like most kids our age on the weekends. We decided to do another ghost hunt in my house. We got the flip phone ready and borrowed my dad's touchscreen to videotape. My basement was not like most because the house was very old and therefore very old-fashioned. Down the stairs, there's one main big room we use for storage, a medium-sized room for the washer and dryer, and the farthest was a small cell-type room we never used because it creeped everyone out. Jenna and I walked down the stairs, turned on the camera and flip phone recorder, and started asking the usual questions you would see on TV like, "Is there anybody here? Give me a sign if you're here." We finally got tired and went back upstairs to review our first video recording. This was a big step for us because we wanted to be ghost hunters so bad. We were watching and got disappointed as we didn't find anything in the video or voice recording. Usually, we would make something up, like a footstep that wasn't ours, to feel less bad. But this time, we were so excited about the video, we didn't even want to make anything up. We couldn't sleep, so we played a few board games and then agreed to review it again, thinking maybe we missed something. And oh boy, we did. While reviewing the tape again, we both could feel this bad energy coming from it. I guess we didn't realize it before because we were too filled with excitement. We went on anyway, and as we paid more attention, we could actually hear footsteps that weren't ours. Then what showed up on the tape, I still see when I close my eyes. It was the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. The camera was on Jenna, and behind her was this figure that looked like a distorted, almost human thing with bright white eyes that seemed to watch you through the video. At that point, we shut it off and were both in complete shock. We couldn't tell my father as he was asleep. Being so early in the morning, we decided to keep it our secret. Even though we never went into that basement again, we both still talk and sometimes dream about it. To this day, I don't know if it was our imagination or if there was something with us in that basement, but I'll never go in there again. This all happened during Halloween in 2014. My name is Miguel, and I'm from a small town in Findlay, Ohio. I used to go to high school at County School, about 10 minutes from where I lived, called Van Buren High School. Van Buren was a nice little village with good people for the most part, but there were some evil creeps that could be found if you knew where to look. The biggest hotspot for them was Van Buren State Park. Everyone knew the state park had a little infamy as it was known for some rapes and the like. I've been to the park many times with friends and classmates, and nothing bad ever happened to us, so I never thought much of it. I have a lot of good memories of the place, like the times my friends and I would bike the trails and set off works bombs in the woods or go fishing in the lake. However, fast forward to my senior year at Van Buren, and on Halloween, my friend Ramon and I saw the darker side of Van Buren State Park. The summer before my senior year, I enlisted in the Army National Guard, so it was important that I worked out and stayed in shape. That day, I asked my best friend Ramon if he wanted to go run the trails in the park with me after school, and he agreed. It was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I pulled into one of the parking lots, waiting for Ramon, when I saw an old silver car with a bald, disturbing man suspiciously sitting in the lot. Knowing that creeps hang out at the parks, I glanced over to check out what he was doing when I noticed he was staring at me and wouldn't take his eyes off me. It was a very unsettling stare, one that made him look hungry and me uncomfortable. His eyes were wide open, and he either had a frown or a grin. We made eye contact, and he nodded at me as if to say hello but wouldn't drop his glare. I nodded back but broke eye contact since I was pretty uncomfortable. I noticed out of the corner of my eye that he was still staring. At this point, I'd had enough and sped out of there, pulling out of the parking lot. When I looked in my rearview mirror, I saw he was following me. This made me floor the gas pedal, and I sped to my high school parking lot, where I lost him. I called Ramon and told him I was at the high school and that he might have to deal with this creep alone. Then my stomach sank. I got a text from Ramon saying here, so I made my way back. Sure enough, Ramon's car was there, and so was the creepy dude's. I quickly jumped out and shouted at Ramon to get in my car. Ramon looked at me like I was crazy, but saw the creepy dude and hurriedly got in. As we sped out, we saw the man follow us again. My heart was pounding as we tried to lose him through winding roads and back streets. After what felt like an eternity, we finally lost him and drove to Ramon's house. We were so freaked out, we called the police, but there was little they could do with our vague descriptions. The whole incident left us both terrified of the park, and to this day, I can't go near that place without feeling uneasy. wondering if that creepy man is still lurking around.